Can you guys tell if my face was created with separate products on each side of my face, or was it one palette for the entire face? Stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome to 2020, the new 2020, the new XOXO Staci channel. That's a lot. And I am excited. I have a palette full of makeup that I'm going to review and kind of talk to you guys about. It's not really a review, it's more of like, okay, so this is what is going to happen. I am going to create an eye look, and this eye look I am going to be using several shades from several different palettes, and these palettes all came from the deck of Scarlet Eye Face Lips, like the Everything palettes. And I'm also going to be using a couple of the deck of Scarlet full palettes, the ones that were just the eyeshadows, and I am going to create a look on this eye and a look on this eye, and the colors I am going to use are completely separate from one palette to the next, but they're going to look identical. So I am sourcing things on my face from multiple palettes, but nothing used on either eye is going to be from the same palette, if that makes sense. I think it does. So we're talking here, if I am using a highlight on one side, the highlight that I'm using is going to be from a separate palette. If I am using a bronzer on one side, it's going to be a bronzer from another palette, and I want to show you guys how these stack up. Because I keep telling you guys that this brand in particular, they keep duplicating their eyeshadows, and I want to put it to the test today. So that's what we're doing. We're testing things out today. So we are starting with my face. This right here is a Duo Pan palette. I got it from Amazon.com. I have another one identical to this, and I use it for my Terra Moons and my other like loose shadows and everything that I've started depotting. And everything in this Duo Pan right here is from the Eye and Face palettes that Deck of Scarlet created. So as you guys can see, I started like color coding them. So here's like the neutrals, the blues and the purples. This is more of like the smoky eye, and then this is more of like the reds / yellows. So, and then this row is bronzer, so I only have two. And then this is a highlight, it just wouldn't fit in the highlight row. And then we have the blush row. So you guys can look there. And I'm going to be creating a mirror image face look with these on top of using the Oracle palette, which has never been used. Never used this ever. And on top of using the, what is this one? The Destination Desert palette. This was the collab with Stephanie Lang. So we're going to be using this one as well. Eyeshadows from different palettes. Let's see how this works. So I'm going to start off with the Destination Desert palette. We have this color here, it's Sands. And I'm just going to run through this, and I am going to primarily use the two regular eyeshadow palettes just to kind of keep everything in line. And then everything from the Eye Face Cheek palettes I'm going to use on the other side of my eye, for like from the eyeshadows. So this is the color Sands, and I do have a shadow switching pan, and what this does is this allows you to switch shadows easily. Ta-da! And then we're going to use Canyon, and I'm going to grab a crease brush out of my lot here. Canyon, which is this like brown color. Then I'm going to take the color Scorched, which is this one right here. And then last but not least, we're going to be using Sahara. One eye done, and then we are going to use a face color. So first we're going to do the bronzer, and the one bronzer I'm going to use for the completed side is the one that's a little bit cracked. This is from edition number 5. And both the bronzing colors actually have quite a bit of a satin finish to them, so they have quite a bit of sparkle, and I'm trying to remember that I can only put this on half my face. Set that brush aside. And then next I'm going to be using one of the darker blushes, one of these right here. We're going to use the bottom one. And if I remember right, this one is from the Melly Sanchez palette, which she did. It was like edition number 4-ish. Ooh, that's really pigmented. This is a very matte blush, very pigmented. And then also from Melly's palette is the Pinot Grigio, is what she called it. And this one is kind of like a goldeny highlight. And that is going to be obviously my highlight. So I will show you guys what this looks like. It's not stellarly blinding, but it is there enough. Highlighting like the high points of my face. And then we're just putting a little bit right there on the eye, because we can. Now for the other side of my face. Can't wait to show you guys this. So we first used, pull these back out. So we basically used this entire, we did use this entire palette for this side. We used Sands, we used Canyon, and we used Scorched in Sahara. So I am going to just set this here for reference, but you guys are going to see me dipping into the pans, the single pans. Here we have this palette. I depotted the entire deck of Scarlet line for the singles. So we're going to use this shade right here, which is like a skin tone shade, very, very similar to the Sands shade. And then in the crease, I put Canyon on this side. So we are going to be using this shade right here for the crease on this side. And I did use my Chateau switching pen. So this color is a little bit darker than the Canyon, but they are so similar in shade. Not a joke. So then I used Scorched from the Destination Desert palette, and then we're using, this is from the edition number 15 with Kate Marks. And I'm using this shade right here, and it's going on my lid like what the Scorched one did. These literally look like exactly the same shades. And then because I used Sahara in the Destination Desert palette, which was like this creamy, almost like white color, but it's a little bit off white, we are going to use, there's a color in the Oracle palette. It's called Fortune, and we're going to put that in the inner corner and then on the brow bone. This one actually doesn't seem to be as like stellarly blinding as the one in the Destination Desert palette. I almost put it on the wrong side. But those are very, very similar eyes. Like, ooh. Okay, then we're going to do the face side. The face side, and I do have new brushes for that. Here's you for the blush. This is the same brush, however, like it's the same Wet n Wild brush, but this one I used for this side of the face for the bronzer, and then this one I'm going to use for this side of the face. And we are going to use this bronzing color. Here is this bronze color. Very, very, very like shimmery. It almost looks more like a highlight than it does a bronze color. This one is definitely the bronzer, but it's so sparkly. I don't understand this like at all. A little bit more red. It feels more pigmented, but the colors are very, very similar. Very similar in shade. And then I'm using, this is an Ulta Beauty blusher brush. We're going to use this color here. And this one is from, if I remember right, it was not the palette right after Melly's palette, but the 6th edition palette. And this one reminded me so much of Melly's palette. And it is very dark, like the other blush from Melly's palette. And these were 2 palettes apart. I'm like, ooh, this is like super pigmented. Definitely the wrong color blush, because this one's like more of a plum color, whereas the other one's more of like a red color. Other highlight shade we're going to be using is this one here. I used the Pinot Grigio, and then I can't remember what one this one's from, but it is a highlight shade. Very light, very similar in color. And this is going to be the highlights on this side of my face. This one's more of like a golden instead of like a white gold, where like the other one is definitely a white gold. Can you tell that these shades on either side of my face, besides the lips, came from several different Deck of Scarlet palettes? Honestly and wholeheartedly, I can say no, you cannot tell the difference. So just take this all in for a couple of seconds before we wrap up this video. So now that you guys see the completed look, you guys saw one side and then the other side, and then you see everything together, I want you guys to ask yourself if you can see the difference between each side of my face. Do they look different? So guys, I leave you with this finished look. I am not going to voice any opinions at this time. I am actually going to be doing a follow-up video, and I want you guys to check it out. I want you guys to see a full brand review of Deck of Scarlet from start to finish, everything you need to know about this brand. This is coming from somebody who has been subscribed to Deck of Scarlet for a while. Obviously, I have a full collection of Deck of Scarlet in this palette, and then the two full eye palettes as well. So with that being said, stay tuned for the full brand review of Deck of Scarlet from start to finish, A to Z, everything you need to know. So I will see you guys later. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications when I post on my channel again. Bye. Bye. Bye, bye, bye.